going deeper, but actually maybe a little bit zooming out.
We are going to fight on stage. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's going to be a battle, so be prepared.
So, so thanks for this new format. I think this is a good one. So, continuing on the point of whether we are getting into the details or zooming out, right? So we've been hearing about data. How do we do the data better? How do we do the AI better? Can we use AI to help the data? Can we use AI to help the build the pipelines, monitor them, and all that? And then of course, you need the data for the AI. So we've been talking about a lot of data and AI, but if you can zoom out a little bit, why are we doing all this data and AI? We want to achieve certain business results, right? We want to build certain, a certain experience for the users, achieve certain results. So that is, in that way, it's a kind of zooming out. So now the question is, how do we basically use GenAI in this zoomed out picture of delivering business results and product excellence and user delight, right? So that is the kind of base from which we are starting off this session. Do you want to add to this?
Yeah, I think more often than not, companies these days are looking at AI as a roadmap, as just tick marks, right? AI ka 4 project kar liya, my goal is achieved for this year. I think what is important is to understand some of the pitfalls of AI as well. This face-off session is coming from a product management perspective. We both are product leaders. We are in those tough conversations with stakeholders on what to build this year, next year, 5 years from now. And that is why this face-off is essential, because it is something we all are thinking and debating at the midst of everything that's been going on and what Samir is talking about in the other room. And that is why we are here. We are focusing on not on outputs, but outcomes. So let's start this session with that. Kiran laid the foundation of it, and I'm going to battle it out with him as part of this session.
Okay. So also inputs, right? I mean, it's not just outputs and outcomes, but inputs, right? That's why so many failed POCs and ultimately even that also has an effect on the overall, bottom line, the top line, everything. So
no presentations for this. You guys have seen a lot of presentation because we are fighting it out here as a face-off. What we are focusing on is the crux of it. This is something we all are thinking about it. So we thought, as it is a novel session, we will do it in a novel way. We will do Amazon style, no PPTs. This is more of a memo of sorts. So let's start the session.
So we discussed about how to kind of structure this, and basically Sowmya is going to take the con view, as in that is the Pandora's box view. Yes?
It's a big box. Go ahead.
What box?
It's going to be a big box.
Big box.
I'm going to come armed with it.
the Pandora's box view, and I'm going to take the miracle machine view. Please note that we are not kind of stuck to this. I mean, both of us know that there are give and take that we need to do, both of us, but we are going to kind of, for the benefit of the audience and then for the benefit of the fun, we will stick to me doing the pro part and she doing the con part, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So to structure this, right, I mean, from an overall product perspective, there are 3 things that we need to do overall in the life cycle of the product. Any product that you're building, any service that you're building, right? One is the discovery. As in, what problems do we need to solve for whom, right? That is the discovery. The next is the development, which is exactly building out the stuff that is ultimately seen by the users and the customers. The third one is the deployment. Not just the deployment on Kubernetes. It's just, when we say deployment, it is going to market, right? So 3 things. Let's keep 3 things in mind. Across these 3 phases in the product life cycle, how is GenAI impacting? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is what we are going to debate. So you might want to start with maybe the discover phase.
You want me to start with the con itself?
Fine, yeah.
He's giving me a chance to beat him right here.
Because we heard a lot of pro already.
See, I want to focus on just 3 things: risk, accountability, and Naukri. Okay, let's be very straight here. That is there at the back of all of our minds. what is the risk? What are the things that we are looking at? And I want to draw some examples here with respect to what you might have seen in the industry. One is a hallucination risk. Few people have spoken about it. And I want to give an example from a product manager's perspective, right? These days, everybody is like, why do you need a product manager? Yeah? You can just go to ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and just write requirements document. And that's exactly what a PM did in one company. I don't want to name the company. The PM gave a prompt to essentially wipe code and get a Python code out from the system. And it was about some metrics and usage data. And it was a public LLM, and they sourced the data from that and cloud. Created this, gave the requirements to the engineering team. But because the data hallucinated and the API endpoints were not even available or not correctly put in place, it was $100,000 issue that was found out because of this in terms of risk. So hallucination risk is a very big thing, which not many people understand. So for me, more than the reward, the risk is high. And just before the session, thank you for giving me that material. 95% of AI models fail. So thanks a lot for that. I think that puts a picture on what are the things and why it fails, right? So he spoke about the initial phase, the design phase. I'm saying there is a risk there itself. Right from the discovery and the design phase, where you have a hallucination risk. And the second part of that is algorithmic bias. How many of you have heard of the Amazon recruitment tool that was released in 2017? I see one person there. If you haven't, I would encourage you to go and read about it. There was a gender bias that was committed. This was a recruitment screening tool, and there was a flaw in the requirements where the data only picked up male candidates, which meant that for none of the roles, they were screening any of the female candidates or gender diverse candidates. Years of development, and this was in 2017, right? It was not yet mature. That caused a lot of debt, two types of debt, product debt, reputational debt. It's all, even now when someone goes and you go to ChatGPT and see, can you give me one risk, algorithmic bias risk, Amazon's thing comes at the top. So that reputational risk is still there. It is still, even after so many years, 2017 it happened, it's 2025, we are going to 2020, 10 years, 9 years. So you need to think about reputational risk, you need to think about hallucination risk, and Naukri, our job, Kelsa, Naukri, we are all here because of that. We all represent one or the other companies, we are looking into it. And one thing that you need to understand is AI will not go away, but the person who knows AI will take your job.
Okay, Sowmya, we are talking about...
we should talk about.
Sure. We are talking about the discover phase where the data was basically,
Sure.
They didn't take all the data, so essentially not all the genders were actually represented, right? But if you look at the positives of where GenAI can help, right? First of all, you can give out a prompt to ensure that the data you're picking as you know, AI influencing the data and the data pipeline that was one of the topics. You can make sure that these kind of guardrails are placed even when you're collecting the data. And the point I wanted to make is, see, GenAI is basically giving you a tool like a calculator or a computer earlier, right? Or even just a knife, right? You can hold the knife in the right way and you will not be bleeding. You'll be using it to cut some fruit or something. You hold it in the wrong way, you'll be cutting yourself. So there are ways in which to use the AI to make sure that itself does not happen, that the bias in the data is not there, because there so much of human bandwidth CPU bandwidth goes into checking all of that things can be missed. So it's possible to use AI in such a way that even in the discovery phase, which is what we are right now talking about, we ensure that these kind of biases are not built, right? And of course, humans have to be involved in the process. So I would say that, of course, all the compliance and risk issues that you talk about are obviously there. It's a question of using the knife in such a way that you're holding the handle.
I think from a product leader perspective, it becomes very important for us to know which are the tasks that will be picked up by AI and which are the tasks that will be something a human needs to augment. He's trying to win me over, I can get that. And this is a constant struggle when you are a leader. There is no boundary whether you are an engineering leader or a product leader or a sales leader. When you are in the top brass, you keep thinking about what is the value that you generate, right? What's the outcome? And what is the ROI from what you are producing? I think valid points, Kiran. It is very important for us to always remember that in terms of the risk, you need to ensure that you have the right guardrails in place. In terms of accountability, you need to have the human AI collaboration aspect that Kiran pointed out. And in terms of your naukri and the job displacement, that is worrying everybody, right? Everybody is doing certification, Coursera, Udemy, ISB. That is because you want to learn, you want to innovate. And there are certain processes which were manual, which you want to augment. See, AI can probably take away your menial jobs, but what it can't take away is leadership. AI doesn't have leadership. AI doesn't have empathy. AI doesn't have storytelling. AI doesn't know the outcomes and the values that you can give, and that is where human AI collaboration can augment that. And that is very important, to know where to use AI and where you need to augment with humans.
Absolutely. I think you kind of did a little bit of the pro. Thank you for that.
I was trying to come to your side a little bit, right?
So moving on to a little bit of, so you mentioned about how, I think somebody mentioned about how the user stories were written wrongly. And so that kind of gets into the develop phase, right? So
Correct.
One is the discovery. So you wrote down that this is what we need, this is the problem we need to solve. You need to get into the next step where you're talking about the development part of it. I've seen a lot of user stories written by product managers which are not readable. They lead to so much hallucination in human minds as to what is being built that a lot of human bandwidth gets wasted, engineering bandwidth gets wasted.
So that operational aspect you're saying can be augmented.
Can be augmented with AI.
Content generation.
I mean, nowadays, right, the content generation part of it, wherever you write a lot of content using AI, you can do very good user stories and epics and everything using AI, making sure that that problem of expressing what you want to build is kind of solved. So I've seen a lot of improvement in when we ourselves started doing that at Rakuten, where we're not using AI to actually generate the ideas and do the discovery, but to write it down in a way that it is actually humanly understandable and everything is captured, right? It can still give you ideas. So there's a possibility of a lot of pros in using it. But of course, I do want to come to your side and say that there are cons of it. And where I've seen some of the junior product managers basically thought, oh, this is doing everything that I need to do, right? I can just go and have some tea or, instead of writing the user story. I've seen that also. So that's like giving you back on the coming to my side.
Yeah, one thing that product managers need to understand is now going forward, you will become product evangelists. The roles are going to evolve in terms of what is it that you are going to give to your firm, right? You will not just talk about vision and strategy, but you will think about vision and strategy with AI at scale. That is where product managers would come in. And I think those are some important points that I encourage all of you to go and keep it at the back of your head, right? When you're writing requirements document, when you're giving it to your engineering team, when you're building these roadmaps and vision, where does the buck stop? What are the outcomes? What are the risks? What is the accountability? How does this affect my job? And at the end of the day, how I can scale this product and bring the ROI in picture using the human AI collaboration, which has been nicely alluded to by Kiran.
Thank you. So one point which I just remembered is Andrew Ng, right? I don't know whether that's how you pronounce it, Ng or NG. This person basically said that the role of the product manager in the GenAI era is much more nuanced.
Correct.
Right? So, and that kind of, with the bell, I think if we want to move on to the deploy part, which is the GTM part, maybe we can very quickly summarize as to how GenAI can actually help or harm. Let's start with maybe the harm.
I think whenever you are in a product-led growth phase of a particular company's set of products, deployment is not just about how do I go to market fast, like the speed of it, but also what does it deliver in terms of outcome. I will again draw the attention to so many things that was discussed today, the infinite loop with data and governance, the governance aspect of it, as well as the aspect of how if you don't have the various layers set up and if you don't have the observability, access control, and all those things put into place, your go-to-market strategy will fail in the long term. That's why a lot of startups, AI startups fail, because they don't know the outcome of it. So they need to consider these biases, these hallucinations, the outcomes and the outputs to be able to succeed. And that is where I feel not many companies, they are still in the crawl phase of the maturity, not in the walk and the run phase. If you want to walk and run, these are the guardrails that you need to put in place for a GTM strategy that is filled with adoption, training, ensure that your model is rightly giving the output that you want to in the industry.
Yeah, and in the GTM part, there was a time when you needed huge sales force. I'm talking about the human sales force, right? The people to execute on the plans. You said, okay, this is the direction in which we want to go. This is the market we want to attack, and these are the people to contact. And here are the emails, and then humans have to do this, right? So a lot of that can now be automated using AI. You can do judiciously, and then very personalized emails, very personalized outreaches can be done. So even in the deploy phase, where you're really reaching out to the customers or the users using your product, you can really personalize, and you can do one-on-one customization to that particular, potential customer. And then, so those are the pros, and of course the cons.
And that would increase your adoption. When you're looking at all of this, when you have a personalized and targeted marketing, it actually augments the flow, the pipeline of your product. So with this, we want to close. The time's up, but these are some existential questions. Risk, accountability, and Naukri. These are the three things that's always there in our mind when we build great products. Kiran and I would be there outside. We would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks again for having us over.
Thank you.